Right, hello. I'm here to show you a new development in the aerial photography and surveying technology, the bits and pieces that we've got, and to take you through the process. This question was first posed to me by a chap called Vernon, who wanted a large-scale aerial survey done of an area to see how it might flood during the winter. Now, I knew it was possible by using maths, using camera tracking technology, and using various other bits and pieces, but we finally developed a method of actually really getting so much data out of our aerial shoots. So without further ado, let me just show you the source footage. This is a bit of video. It might play back a bit jerky because this was recorded at 2.7K. But it's quite simple. This is Alfriston Church in Sussex, and all the video is a pan around. Sorry, it's more of a dolly movement around the spire of the church. We'll just click it on a couple of steps. Very simple. You can see some really nice parallax scrolling here. You really see the nice layers in the video. And then the shot just finally finishes off with just a reverse out dolly movement. So let's have a look at what we can see. And the shot finishes off facing the ground. I'll just pause it here and have a look at what we can see. We've got the clergy house down here. We've got Wingrove Inn and the Wingrove cottages across here. The old coach house. Earlier on in the video you could see the URC Hall and the White Bridge. And then down here you've got the War Memorial Hall here. And that's all I've used to show you really the power, the data that we can leverage out of this footage. So first thing was I had to take this short little section and convert it to a series of stills, which is very easy. Just these stills here are all 1 second apart. So there's about 180 or so of these, 130 I think, and as you see it finishes with a straight down view looking down at the Cuckmere River there. So without further ado, let's have a look at the process. Now, when I stripped the footage when I stripped these stills out of the footage, it didn't have any of the camera EXIF data. So I took some regular GoPro stills. This has just been filmed on a GoPro on a hexacopter, and I just copied and pasted the EXIF data from the GoPro original into these, just to make camera matching a bit easier, because obviously every camera is different. You've got a different amount of distortion and certain things, variables that you need to take into account. So once I had done that, let's have a quick look in this software here. I then put all of the, as you can see, the various sensor widths and heights and all the various sort of pixel sizes and focal points into this bit of tracking software here. Now I needed to get a scale of what we were shooting. So to give you an idea where in the country we are, we're just shooting down here, and we've had a look down here at the little village of Alfriston, and here's the church here on Google Maps, and I've chosen 4 places. We'll call them number 1, number 2, number 3 and number 4. Now I know that all 4 of these places are visible in the footage, but as you'll see, the first place, which is just across here, you can see number 1, number 2 and number 4. Number 3 is off screen. So we scroll around. Number 1's now gone. We've got 2 and 4. Now we've got 2, 3, somewhere around here, not too exact, and 4 around here. Now, from Google Maps, we just simply take out the longitude and latitude so that we can get a real world basis of exactly where this is. Now, as you probably know from GPS technology, it's extremely accurate. So if we measure from that pin to that pin there, we can see it's 97.28 meters. So that's accurate to within roughly 10 millimeters or so, which for this application is absolutely perfect. Now, just like to point out, this footage was not taken with this experiment in mind. It's a bit of stock footage that I had from a few months ago, which I figured I'd give, I'd put it through its test, through its paces and see what we can get out of it. So once we've established whereabouts in the world it is, we put our waypoints into the map area, and we, like I say, this is accurate to within, well, millimeters really. And then we go in and we do a camera track. So this has had the footage imported into it already, and as you can see, all of the photos now, each one of these is a camera and a photo. There's the last one, of course, which is the final pan down. And so let's have a closer look down here. We can see that we've got, yeah, this is the moving around the tower into a final position here, and then an almost straight up and back. There we go, and until we get up to here, which is then when we finally pan down. So that's camera tracked it. Now the way that camera tracking works is it compares the differences between the two adjacent frames, and let's find two good ones, and it will work out by using trigonometry. It'll put a tracking point on high contrast parts, and then we'll automatically track these parts across the frame. And by extrapolating the 3D data, taking the lens distortion into account, you can work out whereabouts the camera is positioned. Now once you've got an accurate camera track, you can then feed the data back in, but kind of sort of in reverse, and you can then come up with a series of tie points, as they're called. This is a point cloud. Now as you can see, we've got the tracking point 1, tracking point 2, tracking point 3, and number 4 there as well. So if we select tracking point 4, we can see that we've got, this is quite a dense point cloud here, and over here we can see whereabouts in each of this footage it's managed to track that point to. So on every single frame we can then just make sure that we can then move that back to where it is. Now this has already done quite a good job of this, and I have gone through this before and neatened it up. So what we've done is extrapolated the 3D data of the area into a point cloud. Now these were the points that were most easiest to track, and I think there's probably something like 11,000 points here. So as you have a look across the back here, this is the Tie Road, and obviously the church, and then finally down here, very loosely tracked, we've got the clergy house. So once we've got our basic point cloud and we've corrected any erroneous, you see there's a few points that are floating off into the air. These are erroneous. I've not gone too madly into cleaning those up, because at the end of the day they're not affecting the camera track, so it works quite well. So once we've done this, we can go into the various points on the model here, and let's just zoom out, and we can then say, right, what do we do to fill those up? Now across big slabs of concrete and big grey areas and obviously gloopy trees and stuff, it's really difficult to actually get accurate data unless you've got a high contrast pixel. But we can actually interpolate those pixels and then regain the image data from the original stills to give us a much denser point cloud. Now I can change the, I'll probably be changing the thicknesses and heights and sizes of these to suit. So now we can interpolate those. We can see that we've actually got a remarkably accurate site model. Now you'll notice these dark patches on the model here. Obviously the camera didn't actually make its way around to this side, so this is all held in shadows. Like I said, the original footage that I shot wasn't really intended to do this, so we've got all of these shadows. Where this tree, for example, let's just fatten those dots up so you can see it a bit clearer. There we go. Where this tree, for example, has blocked everything behind it, we've got shadows behind there. So if we end up putting the camera, roughly speaking, where the last shot was, we can see that you got very, very little black parts to the shot. But let's go in and analyze this model. There you go. Have a look at that roof pitch. It picked that up beautifully. If we have a look over here in plan view and have a look at that, it's really picked out the profile of that buttress there. If I just make those points a little bit smaller, it's picked out the profile of that buttress there. It's picked out pictures of all these roofs and everything. Now these are actually extremely accurate to within, well, depending on how accurate your GPS data is, I would say this is probably accurate to within 20 to 30 mil. And even down here on the roof of the hall, you can see that we've actually picked up the pitch of the roof there, and the fact that these roof lights are actually higher up than the normal roof. Let's continue around here. You can see we've got the pitch of that roof there. So just by going from a simple fly around video, we've ended up getting some really remarkable reconstructions, some really good data. Now we can export this as a point cloud into any 3D modeling package, which means that we can recreate this scene as accurately as ever been possible before on a large-scale survey. To survey a site like this using a total station or an EDM maybe 5 years ago would have been impossible. So let's have a quick look at, I've put a couple of animation fly-around paths in there. There's one, there's another, and there's another. But what we'll do, we'll fly through these one by one and have a look at those. So this is from around the back of the church. You see some lovely detail in the models, and definitely the trees as well. We can really see the heights of each thing relative to one another, and then just go into it and work out various volumes and lengths and distances. So that was animation track 1. Let's have a look at track number 2. And what I'll do, I'll just make those pixels a little larger so they sort of merge into each other and block out some of that black. There we go. So we can really see the profile and the 3D depth of the cottages in there and the coach house. So if we were to have a look at that, I think the pixels that I chose there are really quite coarse. But this really is, it's a true point cloud. So if we take it back to its barest form, we can see just how accurate and how frequently sampled that data is. We've even got lumps and bumps in the tie there as well. It's modelled it so beautifully well. The thickness or the weight of these pixels is just an artificial effect that I'm doing just to join them up. So the actual model itself isn't blocky at all. It's actually very, very smooth. Let's have a look at animation track number 3. That was number 2 again. Let's have a look at number 3. So we know that we didn't fly this track in reality. If I was to take shots from the other side and sort of fill in those blanks, then we would really get a complete 3D scan of the area. But yeah, from that realistic 2D moving image to an absolutely beautiful point cloud ready for importing into 3D space. Highly accurate. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this. If you have any questions or queries, or if you think that you know of anything that you might be able to turn this towards, then please, by all means, please don't hesitate to contact me at all.